When the new Knights of the Round Table embarked on their first adventure together, they didn't know a lot about the threat gathering out east yet. They didn't know the orcs were calling themselves the Red Horde, or what Fenris was secretly planning about the forbidden fruits. They simply set out in pursuit of the Earth Horde and trying to understand their true goals and motives, knowing only of the dark portal the orcs emerged from. Not long before joining their forces, some of them didn't even know the truth about orcs, thinking they were just some new goblin band, a race not unheard of on Earth, descended from the most bothersome fey spirits of this world. Some heard rumors the orcs emerged from hell itself. No doubt a misconception caused by someone witnessing the dark portal and not knowing what they saw. In the end, they teleported, thanks to Merlin's cosmic power, straight to Krakow, the tentative capital of the splintered Poland, a country that was recently on the receiving end of the orcish raids. After a few exchanges with the locals, either shocked by the appearance of all the strange folks or disbelieving that the legendary Knights of the Round Table came to visit their prince, the new knights were finally allowed to speak to Casimir the Just, the Prince Senior of Poland, a man who in most other countries would be crowned king, if it wasn't for the political divisions in the country and the strained relationship with the German Emperor and the Pope. They found the prince talking to his court wizard, Onufry Twardowski, a portly man with a massive moustache, caught drinking and talking about the orcish situation, in fact. Powiadam wam, panowie, to jest tylko chwilowy kłopot. A ja ci, kurwa, mówię, czorty! Diabliska, to nie są ludzie! The portly man slammed his fist on the table to make his point. Ludzie mówią, że to są po prostu wielcy zieloni ludzie. A kiedy jaśnie, panie, ostatni raz widzieliście zielonego człowieka? Alice finally interrupted the ravishing conversation and got them all talking in Latin to explain who they were and why they came here. Consulting with the two, Pan Twardowski gave them a hint, a relic that was bought by Bolesław Rymuth, Prince Casimir's father, from a Jewish trader, was being held in the cathedral in Polotsk. The relic in question, allegedly the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the orcs were lately seen moving past Zakroczym, a fortress on the Vistula River. The people present could only speculate why the orcs wanted the fruit, but William, raised Christian and very interested in the mystical side of things, was familiar with the story of the fruits and how it could be interpreted, correctly or not, to grant godlike power. Since it literally was the first commandment given by God to the first people, the prince was adamant to stop them and sent Onufry with them. Despite the protests from the wizard himself, and Alice, who wanted to remain unsupervised to raid some temples as it befits a Viking, Pan Twardowski was saddled onto them, and off they went to Polotsk. It took them a few days of travel, but soon they arrived in Polotsk, and as William was trying to learn from Onufry how to properly pronounce the city's name, they noticed dead bodies, wrapped in cloth outside the city gates. As they tried to speak to the remaining guards, who spoke very little Latin, they figured out from their gestures that a group of people killed the guards and rode right through the gates. A group of big, green people. Knowing now for certain they were on the right track, they followed through, hurrying to the cathedral. Riding past the crushed market stalls and the bodies of the giant black wolves that belonged to the raiders, but of a shock to the Earth people, having never seen a warg before. As they continued through the cathedral door, shattered and broken from the attack, bodies of the faithful strewn about, they quickly continued on. As they walked into the church, they saw more pews and furniture scattered about, including a tabernacle turned over or broken. All the communion wafers spilled out. The altar looked stained in blood as they noticed a man, clad in black with a distinctive scarlet sash, lying motionless in a pool of blood, and standing over him, something most of them would not recognize, a woman, clad in very little armor, holding a large axe in her hands, with her hair shaved into strange hairstyle that they wouldn't know to call a mohawk. But distinctively, her muscular body was very green. A battle ensued as the group charged on, Alice forcing the orc to dance with her magical music to make her an easier target. She died quickly, before being able to do much to the knights. Onufri soon followed up and identified the dead priest as Lupus, bishop of Polotsk. The younger priests emerged from hiding and informed the group that other ugly green pigmen went down into the crypt, where they kept all the holy relics. Descending down the steps into the crypt, the knights soon overheard a conversation in Orcish, one from which they understood little but zug-zug. Once they crossed the door, the 4 orcs below noticed them, and for once, one orc was able to talk back in Latin.
"Humans, go away! Warchief Fenris will have his prize,"
the orc said. Rani asked what they were after, and the orc, Groton the Herald, admitted to their goal.
"We are after the fruit. My father, the Warchief, says to get fruit. We get fruit. Once Warchief has the fruit, he will be like God to you, puny humans, and then he shall rule over this primitive world."
With this boast, the Thunderlords attacked. The fight wasn't very long or very difficult, but the orcs fell in the end. Groton seemed to almost refuse to die, lingering on in his blood rage, unaffected by Grom's sacrifice due to their remoteness and their continued usage of the demonic blood. He did finally die, and the knights inspected the golden casing, finding the fruit inside looking like a still fresh fig, yellow with small red stripes, kept magically fresh by its supernatural origin. Though they debated what to do with it, some people being tempted to eat it just to see if the legends were true, when Onufri rejoined them, he insisted it be kept safe here, while the knights wanted to take it back to Camelot, where they believed it would be safer. In the end, one of the surviving priests, the church vicar, believed the knights had it right and permitted them to take the fruit, and Onufri decided to come to Camelot to watch over it, beginning the group's tradition of picking up strays everywhere. Having now discovered the identity of the Warchief, Fenris Wolfbrother, brother of Durotan, chieftain of the Thunderlord clan, and his true motives, they knew what they had to do. This was far from the only forbidden fruit in the world, a few of them scattered across here and there. Knights of the Round Table knew that Fenris would not rest until he had both fruits and became like God, or at least try to, and they set out on their mission, traveling now towards the Ruthenian city of Polotsk, where allegedly another such fruit was kept as a holy relic. But before they'd get here, they'd have to get through a few adventures. Some were memorable only through the pure absurdity of the situation, like the priests and Divogins, or Semjivui, who was attempting to convert the pagan Jotvingians and ended up, allegedly, on the receiving end of unwanted attention from the chief's wife, who, when he discovered the priest half-dressed due to spilling wine, ran the priest out of the village until the priest, and the chieftain behind him, ran into the adventurers. Whoever really was the perpetrator, William did not want the priest to get martyred, and defended him before scaring the chieftain away with his fell magic. Yeah, William's magic. We'll have to get back to that. Further across Ruthenia, at a smaller town of Młodeczno, they found the locals trying to repair their wooden walls. Goblins attacked them, turned out, setting the walls on fire with burning arrows, something the simple goblins of Earth were not known for. Searching through the area to find their hideout, they discovered a cave where the local goblins took residence. Their leader, however, was a bigger surprise. Calling himself Abe Speedcrank, the goblin spoke with much more eloquence than the others, and knew things he should not. William quickly realized that the goblin wasn't from Kazan, the city in Ruthenia, but from Kazan, the island on Azeroth. Having arrived here with the Red Horde, and then left over the 15 years since, having issues with the whole using fell to force age the children bit, he had a knowledge of Azerothian goblin technology that could be useful to Camelot. Therefore, to continue the tradition of picking up strays, the knights made their own deal with Abe. The people of Młodeczno would be free of their raids, and Camelot would gain a valuable ally, no matter his moral alignments. Abe did have some useful insights on the Red Horde, having arrived with them.
"Hey folks, I got settled in a bit, and I gotta say, you got some nice digs. I mean, it's nothing compared to where I used to live. Yeah, who am I kidding? I used to live in a one-room apartment with no bathroom to call my own on the 4th level below the sewage-filled streets of Undermine. This is pretty sweet compared to that. I don't suppose when you all have been to Azeroth you brought any Kajabite with you. 'Cause these little idiots keep getting on my nerves. Anyway, you wanna hear about what the Horde is planning? So here's what I know. The Warchief is currently Fenris' wolf brother. He killed the Dragonmower and Spinebreaker chiefs in a duel right at the start and has been leading ever since. Mostly he's been pretty single-minded. He's been conquering and subjugating these Kipchak people and all the other human nomads. But then, a few years ago, somebody brought this holy book called the Bible to him. And when he read about these forbidden fruits, it's got into his head he could become a god if he ate those fruits. Crazy, right? But he's been searching for them ever since. This guy is a moron, though. Think Blackhand, total rube. The real leader is his chief warlock, Terran Gorfane. This dude's actually undead. Spooky, right? He used to be an orc warlock, but then he died, and then put him in a human body. His body is now deteriorating, and he's been looking for a new one, but when I left, he didn't have one. His big idea was the Dark Portal. The Horde has pillaged around the steppes, the orcs were getting restless, and he's got his harebrained scheme to go back to Drano for reinforcements. Well, he's been gathering power ever since, and they were planning to start building the frame when he thinks it's ready. So if you saw them building, that's probably bad news. That's all I know, so good luck with the Horde slaying. For the Alliance, whatever you lot say here.
It was when they finally reached Polotsk that things got serious. When they reached the princely throne, they found it adorned with skulls and dragon-headed banners. A man calling himself Dmitri the Dragon took over the throne and killed the rightful prince. A very large and brawny man, he claimed to be over 80, but looked barely 40. Alis, fulfilling the role of the herald, warned Dmitri about the Horde, but he seemed unconcerned. When told about the forbidden fruits, he offered to let the knights to his treasury to show that the fruit was kept safe, after saying something in Russian to his soldiers. As soon as they entered, they realized it was a trap. Dmitri had no intention of just showing them anything. He's been working with Gorfiend, and so does Lucifer's Own, a secret order of devil worshippers who hope to use the Red Horde to topple the world God made and replace it with their own new world order. Dmitri, revealed to be a Nephilim, a child of a human and a fallen angel, together with the half-orc assassin Garona sent to him by Gorfind, not that Garona, and his warlock, a Moldovan man going by Lucius Sinister, attacked the group, revealing the fruit that was stored in Polotsk has already been sent to Fenris. The Warchief already has one of the two things he needs to become a god. Dmitri proved to be a challenging opponent, his mighty hammer striking people to the ground, knocking Morticus out briefly. The Felguard summoned by Lucius was hacking through their lines with an axe, but in the end the knights triumphed. Dmitri was felled, crying out to his devilish father. Garona was drowned in a bowl of water by Rani, and Lucius was knocked out and taken back to Camelot for questioning. Dmitri's hammer would lie in the treasury of Camelot for a while, until someone strong enough to lift it, and wield it correctly, could arrive. The Felguard's axe would turn out to be a fel-corrupted Arcanite Ripper, a perfect for a bard who wants to lay down some felfire. But loot was not the real issue. They realized that Fenris is already underway to achieve his goals. Terran Gorfind is also building his new dark portal, which would expose Earth to the Burning Legion, and cannot be allowed to continue. Knights of the Round Table could only do one thing: seek out more of these forbidden fruits around the world, and hope to prevent Fenris from getting the other one. But which one did he get? Perhaps you'll find out next time, when the Knights of the Round Table, including more new recruits, journey to Khwarezm to seek out another forbidden fruit.